It is Saturday night. Was a long and busy day, and there was a lot of waiting involved, waiting for this to get done and waiting for that to get done. And I know that I was feeling a bit irritated at some point in time. And Ken's like, "Let's go for a bike ride." And honestly, to be honest, the last thing I wanted to do tonight was go on a bike ride. I was like, I'm not really feeling it. I feel agitated and irritated. I'm tired. I've been waiting all day. I'm at capacity. And thankfully he pushed and said, "Oh, I know this perfect place." Well, I've heard that before and I wasn't really trusting. And I get really bad anxiety when it comes to new places. I don't know them. I'm not sure what to expect. I'm not sure about my capability. But I, just trusted that he was going to move me in the right direction. So off we went to Hume Park and the Central Valley Bikeway through and past the Brunette River. Again, somewhere, Hume Park I've been to because I was born and raised in New West, and we did a lot of things there at Hume Park, but of course I was tiny and don't remember any of that and haven't been back since I was an adult, certainly not on a bike, obviously. But we did probably at least 10 kilometers tonight again. We did the whole one side by the river, which was really beautiful. It smelled like that dirty earth smell. It smelled like camping to me. The forest, how dense and damp it gets. And it was just refreshing to be out of the sun, but watching the sunset in the background and riding. And I'd say that I did probably 50% tonight just on my own volition and about 50% with my pedal assist, which feels really good. We went off-roading. We were on some hydro road that narrowed and narrowed and narrowed and narrowed with bramble bushes on either side. My ankles are all scarred up. I'm muddy and dirty and feel accomplished. And then we rode onto the other side and down on the other side of the river. And then we went into Hume Park. And I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's this huge, massive hill leading up into the top part of the park. And I didn't get a good enough run at it. And about midway, I was like, wow, I'm not going to make it. And I was feeling pretty discouraged because up until now, every hill that I've tried to accomplish, I've been able to do, which felt good to me. And so I had to stop about midway up the hill. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. I don't know if I can do any more. I don't know that I want to do any more. He's like, well, hang on a second. Like we're just about to crest the hill, which was not entirely true. But so at that point in time, my option was to go back down to the bottom and try and get a run at it and run up the hill. I was in third gear and should have been in first and really don't know a lot about biking, so I'm learning. And I was feeling discouraged and kind of pissy at that point in time. And I thought, well, you know what, let me try and see if I can get started here. And he's like, oh, you're never going to be able to do that. And, it's a hill. I'd be surprised if you could, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, turned on pedal assist and thankfully was able to get a good enough start that I could get the motion going, and up the hill I went. And it was incredible, that victorious feeling of I did that, I accomplished that, just when I was ready to quit. And so how many other times in life does that happen, when we're ready to quit something because it's too hard, because we can't do it, because we haven't had success before now, blah blah blah, all the stopping places that are possible and potential stopping places. And so I felt the same way this morning when I've made a commitment to take out the comedy stand, the sit-down comedy stand, twice this week. Because before, there was a purpose involved. So there was a specific purpose. I had to have videotaping done. There was a deadline, so I felt a bit of the pressure around that, which is always good for me. A deadline is a good thing, even though I procrastinate sometimes and wait until the very last minute. It was nice to know that I had this guideline that I was working within. Then after that, it was like, now I just feel foolish. Now I feel stupid. There's no real purpose necessarily to it. Of course there is, overarching. But in the moment, there wasn't any of the immediacy that I had felt the week before because I had to get the videotape in because it was being showcased on July 1st. So without a deadline, I was like, eh. And then, of course, it rained July 1st, rained July 2nd, rained July 3rd. And now come today, July 4th, all of a sudden the sun was out. And I'm like, okay, so you have to do this 2 times before Monday. So you better get your butt out there. So I took the stand out and set everything out by myself. And previous to that, I had help, which also felt a bit empowering. And I certainly experienced the joy of understanding that stretching my comfort zone also comes not just from going out there, but by doing these tasks by myself. Like, for instance, tonight at the end of our bike ride, it was important to me for me to lift my bike in. Now, this is a 50-pound bike, 47 point whatever pound bike. It's heavy. But I'm building my strength, and so I just wanted to be able to lift it myself. So I had to try 2 or 3 times, but once I could get it up and above my head, I could place it in the back of the truck, which felt amazing. So back to the comedy stand. Set the comedy stand up. I was there for 2.5 hours today on the streets of Vancouver. There were plenty of people that, like, this is the best thing. They're driving along, and all of a sudden they're like, what the heck is she doing? And sometimes the passenger's like, oh, okay, I'm waving. But on my way out, I had the applause sign sticking out, and the guy across the street started clapping for me. That's always empowering to know that I have the power to make people applaud when I want to. He had no idea what he was applauding for, but what the heck. And several times today, people stopped by, and I got to actually do my comedy. I got to perform comedy at my sit-down stand with an audience, which was so cool. And I also got to talk up hilarity, got to talk up me and what I'm doing with this idea. And the one guy, I said, I don't know if you know this reference or not, but Lucy from Peanuts. And he was like, I thought that was it. It made me turn around. Like, there were people that drove by and actually turned their cars around and came back to talk to me. Some people got out of their car, some people did not. We're, of course, always practicing safety, but it was so fun to have an audience today. And I told the same jokes each time because it's a new audience, so who cares? There's pictures of me out there behind the sit-down comedy stand on someone's wall somewhere in social media land. So if you see me out there, tag me on people's pictures. Because how cool would that be to, be seen and known and recognized as the sit-down comedian? The sit-down, stand-up comedian. And so today was liberating. Today was that point of, yes, there's an overarching purpose. Without a deadline, it was hard to get to that point. But because I had made a commitment, particularly not to myself, but to somebody else, I wanted to be accountable to that and say, okay, so I said that I was going to do this. Now I've accomplished that. And so instead of staying out for an hour today, I stayed out for over 2 hours. My granddaughter's up on the balcony going, Gigi, like, what are you doing out there? There were some people that passed by, they're like, I am not talking to this lady. But then there's other people that crossed the street from the other side of the street to come and talk to me. What I did see was a lot of smiles, a lot of laughter, a lot of at least waving and acknowledging that I'm there. They've seen me. Maybe it brought joy to their lives. Certainly there was dozens and dozens and dozens of people that I saw impacted in some way, in a positive way, mostly, as far as I can tell, that they just thought it was funny. So for me, it was pretty awesome to feel that accomplishment, know that I did it all by myself. I set up by myself. I took down by myself. I, really self-reliant instead of having to rely on other people to do things. There was no video recording today. I'm totally okay with that. That's not the point of that necessarily. Nobody actually took part in the silly walks today that I know of, that I was aware of. But people did stop and they wanted to talk to me. And that was such a cool feeling because ultimately the decision to do this comedy stand was about getting to the streets, being able to start conversations with people, talk about mental health and mental health awareness, and stop the stigma of those things that we find taboo to talk about in society. And so I feel like I lived on purpose today. I did some comedy stand, I did some biking, I did some homework that I needed to do. I feel full and enriched and such deep gratitude for the life that I get to live. This is day 110. I have one more day. 111 will be tomorrow. And we bike today. We're going to boat tomorrow. So I sure hope that you are enjoying your life in some way, that you're taking moments and creating joyous memories. Be kind to yourself and others, and keep breathing in and out. And when you find yourself in that anxiety-ridden, tight spot, remember that you can always come back to that calm place. Life is all about opportunities to practice, and we're given those every day. Our choice, what we do, when we do it, how we do it. Living on purpose feels good in my body. And so today, someone once said to me, if it was just one person that you were having an impact on, would that be enough? And I had to think about that because, I'd like to impact more than one person. But the truth is, exponential growth happens one person at a time. And the truth is today, I know that by me stretching my comfort zone, being out on the street, looking foolish and making a fool out of myself, it improved someone's life. It improved someone's life. And to me, that's a life well lived. So much love to you out there. Thank you for coming and being here with me. And know that I love you and that you're enough. And that we're in this together. And if you need to talk, message me up. Because I think it's important, because mental health is one of those things that can be pretty heavy and hard. And I get that it's hard to reach out, but when we need the help, be willing to ask. Be willing to ask the question. Be willing to start the conversation. So much love out there. See you tomorrow.